are going live now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your fun loving animated talking head friend, Callous Mind, back with another hard hitting live cast episode. This being episode 22, I believe. So that's cool, man. Getting on up there, getting on up there. So I hope everyone is doing well on this Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. I hope this video finds you all happy, healthy, and productive. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some of these stories here. And this from February 18th, Vincent Jackson's brain donated to Boston University CTE Center. New details and death emerge. Former NFL receiver Vincent Jackson might have died in his Florida hotel room up to 3 days before being pronounced dead there, according to new information released by the Hillsborough County Medical Examiner on Thursday. Jackson, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver, was found dead in a Brandon, Florida hotel room on Monday. He was 38. Man, just way too young. The new details released by the medical examiner's office Thursday came on the same day a Jackson family spokesperson confirmed to ESPN that the family donated his brain to Boston University's CTE Center in an effort to learn more from his death. The director of BU CTE Center also confirmed the donation. Based on the timeline of events described in the initial case summary provided to ESPN by the medical examiner's office, Jackson was located by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office as part of a welfare check on February 12th. Then on February 13th and 14th, the hotel staff entered his room and noticed that he was seated on the couch but slouched over. They assumed he was sleeping and left the room. The report said on February 15th, hotel staff again entered Jackson's room and determined he hadn't moved from his previous spot and called 911 at 11:37 a.m. There were no signs of trauma or injury other than a small laceration on his left big toe, according to the report. The initial report provided by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office did not include what transpired on February 13th or 14th. Jackson had been staying at the hotel since January 11th. The family called the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office on February 10th to report he was missing, and a formal report was filed February 11th. Deputies were able to locate and speak with Jackson at the hotel on February 12th. After assessing Jackson's well-being, the missing persons case was canceled per the initial report. Thursday's updated report said there were no medications found on scene. Under social history, it listed alcohol use, smokeless tobacco use, and no known drug use. The report listed the cause and manner of his death as pending further study, meaning it is not immediately known what killed him. There cannot be a rush to judgment in determining cause and manner of death, Michelle Van Dyke, a spokesperson for the Hillsborough County Medical Examiner, said in an email. At this time, there is no time frame for the completion of the autopsy report for Mr. Jackson, though the medical examiner anticipates it may take several months. The New York Times first reported Thursday that Jackson family had donated his brain to BU's CTE Center, CTE, which stands for Chronic Traumatic Encephalopathy, is a degenerative brain disease that can be caused by repeated head trauma, including trauma from sports such as football and boxing. It can be diagnosed only posthumously and in a special autopsy that examines specific portions of the brain. Researchers at BU have previously found CTE in the brains of former NFL players. If anything can be learned from his death that might help someone else, Vincent would want that, since he was passionate during his life about impacting others around him, family spokesperson Allison Gurrell told ESPN. So, sad news. 38 years old. Man, unbelievable. Well, rest in peace, Mr. Vincent Jackson. I saw the story and I couldn't help but to include it in here because this is an amazing story. Florida Atlantic freshman Caleb Pendleton hits 2 grand slams and first 2 plate appearances. This is from February 20th, and I think we have video footage of it here. But I don't know if y'all will be able to hear it or not. Bear with me 1 second here, and let me see if I can set this up to where you can hear it. Okay. I'll go ahead and keep the commercial muted, but then we'll... All right.
Block has your back.
That is incredible. Florida Atlantic's Caleb Pendleton hit grand slams in his first 2 collegiate plate appearances Saturday night, both in the same inning. Playing in his first game, the freshman connected with the bases loaded twice during a 12-run second inning against Central Florida in an eventual 2015 victory. The second one, it didn't really feel real running around first base, Pendleton said. Nothing I could ever dream of, he added. That's definitely more than I ever thought would happen preparing for today. I never thought I'd be going up for my third at bat with 2 grand slams already. That was pretty cool. Yeah, to say the very least, man. The right-handed hitter crushed the second slam to left center, clearing a row of palm trees behind the outfield fence. Pendleton hit 2 flyouts and struck out in his final 3 at-bats. He said he was visibly nervous before the first pitch, and teammates razzed him after the first slam about his jitters. His feat was headline news by the end of the game, and he said he anticipated his phone going crazy in the clubhouse. He didn't get to check before speaking with reporters. I'll have to lay in bed tonight and look at all the notifications and stuff, he said. As a high school senior, Pendleton was rated as the number 3 catcher in the state of Florida by Perfect Game, and was twice named a PG preseason All-American. So that's a very, very, very cool story. Alright, so I had said in this video I was going to talk about my whiteness, and this is very satirical. I don't believe that our society has deteriorated to these levels, but it seems like this is a very real thing. But for my part in this video, this is satirical for me because I am not a self-loathing individual. I do not hate or dislike myself for the color of my skin or for my beliefs or for anything else. And I don't expect anyone else to be self-loathing either. But we're going to talk about this, so bear with me. Let me get a drink here, and we'll get into it. Alright, so this story from news.com.au. U.S. school sends out chart calling for an end to regime of whiteness. Wow, this is from February 18th. A controversial dossier containing information on white traitors at a public school has left commentators in disbelief. Amen. A charter a chart identifying the 8 levels of white identity has caused outrage in the U.S. after a school sent out guidelines encouraging students to dismantle the regime of whiteness. Good Lord. The dossier distributed by the principal of Eastside Community School in New York places white traders and white abolitionists at 7 and 8 on the scale, with white supremacists being labeled the most extreme at number 1. Wow. The chart defines white abolitionists as activists who strive to change institutions, dismantle whiteness, and refuse to allow whiteness to reassert itself. There is a regime of whiteness, and there are action-oriented white identities. People who identify with whiteness are one of these. It's about time we build an ethnography of whiteness, since white people have been the ones writing about and governing others, the document penned by African American Studies professor Barner Hess said. The scale, which is color-coded red to green on a scale of severity, also includes white critical, which critiques whiteness and invests in exposing the white regime and refuses to remain complicit with the regime. Further down on the red half of the behavioral chart sits white voyeurism, which Professor Hess describes as somebody seeking to control the consumption and appropriation of a culture, and has a fascination with culture, consuming black culture without the burden of blackness. So here's the chart, and from left to right, or from red to green, I guess it would be. So from the left is most extreme is white supremacist, and then to the lesser extreme is white voyeurism, and then to a less extreme to that is white privilege, and then to the right of that is white benefit, and then white confessional, white critical, white traitor, and white abolitionist. So reading directly off of this chart, there is a regime of whiteness, and there are action-oriented white identities. People who identify with whiteness are one of these. It's about time we build an ethnography of whiteness, since white people have been the ones writing about and governing others. Wow. So it looks like he's got a detailed list here of these things. The 8 white identities. Number 1 was white supremacist. This was the most extreme, and in the red, clearly marked white society that preserves, names, and values white superiority. 2. White voyeurism. Wouldn't challenge a white supremacist, desires non-whiteness because it's interesting, pleasurable, seeks to control the consumption and appropriation of non-whiteness, fascination with culture, consuming black culture without the burden of blackness. Number 3, white privilege. May critique supremacy, but a deep investment in questions of fairness, equality, under the normalization of whiteness and the white rule, sworn goal of diversity. Number 4, white benefit. Sympathetic to a set of issues, but only privately. Won't speak, act in solidarity publicly because benefiting through whiteness is public. Some POC are on this category as well. You gotta be kidding me, man. This is absurd. Number 5, white confessional. Some exposure of whiteness takes place, but as a way of being accountable to POC after, seek validation from POC. And I guess POC, for the sake of this, is people of color. Number 6, white critical. Take on board critiques of whiteness and invest in exposing, marking the white regime. Refuses to be complicit with regime. Whiteness speaking back to whiteness. Number 7, white traitor. Actively refuses complicity. Names what's going on. Intention is subvert white authority and tell the truth at whatever cost. Need them to dismantle institutions. And then number 8, white abolitionist. changing institutions, dismantling whiteness, and not allowing whiteness to reassert itself. So the article goes on to say the Eastside Community School states that this is committed to creating a community of highly skilled students, critical thinkers, lifetime learners, and socially responsible citizens in its mission statement online. Okay, well, I'm going to push back against that and say that if you were a real critical thinker, then you probably wouldn't be focusing so much on race, but that's just me. Let's see, where'd it go? We have a school-wide commitment to celebrating diversity, promoting social justice, and combating racism, sexism, homophobia, classism, and any other form of discrimination. The official website reads, psychology professor Jeffrey Miller hit back against the document handed out to the public school. As the original post gathered thousands of replies on Twitter, Professor Miller said the quote regarding the refusal to allow white culture to ever reassert itself was a concerning example of radical discourse. Thing moved all of a sudden. All right. Let me start that line over again. Professor Miller said the quote regarding the refusal to allow white culture to ever reassert itself was a concerning example of radical discourse finding its way into the education system. Applied to any other group, this would sound like a monstrous euphemism for mass extermination and cultural annihilation, he tweeted. And you can see the tweet right there. Let's see here. The article goes on. Samantha Chang, a journalist at the Western Journal, was particularly critical of the guidelines sent out to children, claiming the targeted political rhetoric would incite riots if any other race had been the topic of the chart. Imagine the left-wing riots and media screeching if you substituted any other race for white in this racist chart, Ms. Chang tweeted. The online furor, which has already produced 8,000 retweets and comments since being published on Tuesday, has brought about yet another heated debate regarding racial discourse in America. One commenter bit back at critics, claiming their alarmism was a result of them fearing the loss of power their skin color has brought them. Oh my God, if you find this hostile or unnerving, it's because you are fearing the loss of power and advantage that your skin color has afforded you. It's an agenda to bring true equality, the comment read. The latest controversy came after a school in California was revealed to be conducting racial theory exercises with students, requiring children to deconstruct their racial identities and then rank themselves according to power and privilege. The lesson caused an immediate uproar among parents of students at R.A. Merholtz Elementary School. We were shocked, an anonymous parent said. They were basically teaching racism to my 8-year-old. Yes, and that's exactly what this is. Another parent expressed discomfort at the exercise and believed it only encouraged division between the students by dividing them into the oppressor and the oppressed. Since these identities are inborn characteristics people cannot change, the only way they think to change is to change it is via violent revolution, the parent said via Fox. Growing up in China, I had learned in many times the outcome is the family will be ripped apart, husband hates wife, children hate parents. I think it is already happening here. So, and that concludes that article. Yeah, pretty ridiculous stuff, I think. But that's just my opinion. See, I'm just looking around because there was something else. Yeah, this is what it was. Bear with me 1 second. I'll bring up on my screen. This is this was a tweet from somebody on Twitter way back last year, but I want to show it to you guys, and of course I'll link to it in the description box below the video, because I want you to I want you to see it. So let's see. Okay. All right. So this was apparently from this Twitter user Brian York, and this was actually from July 15th, 2020. So the National Museum of African American History and Culture wants to make you aware of certain signs of whiteness: individualism, hard work, objectivity, the nuclear family, progress, respect for authority, delayed gratification, and more. So let's go ahead and read this. I think they have since taken this down off of their website. So the link that's featured in this person's tweet here would not take you to this anymore. But there's a screen capture here, so this is pretty good. Talking about race, aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture in the United States. It reads, white dominant culture or whiteness refers to the ways white people and their traditions, attitudes, and ways of life have been normalized over time and are now considered standard practices in the United States. And since white people still hold most of the institutional power in America, we have all internalized some aspects of white culture, including people of color. So it looks like one of these aspects is rugged individualism. The individual is the primary unit. Self-reliance, independence and autonomy highly valued plus rewarded. Individuals assumed to be in control of their environment. You get what you deserve. Next down the line, family structure. The nuclear family, father, mother, 2.3 children, is the ideal social unit. Husband is breadwinner and head of household. Wife is homemaker and subordinate to the husband. Children should have own rooms, be independent. Next area of emphasis here, emphasis on scientific method. Objective, rational, linear thinking. Cause and effect relationships. Quantitative emphasis. Next, history, based on Northern European immigrants' experience in the United States. Heavy focus on the British Empire. The primacy of Western Greek, Roman, and Judeo-Christian tradition. And then the last one on here, Protestant work ethic. Hard work is the key to success. Work before play. If you didn't meet your goals, you didn't work hard enough. So, I don't really see this as about being whiteness. I see this as being pretty logical. I mean, these are the kind of the foundations I grew up under. I'm not going to lie to you. The individual is the primary unit. Well, without a group of individuals, you don't have a collective, and without that collective, there would be no tax-paying base in the United States of America. So, self-reliance, that's a pretty big deal. You're not sitting back waiting for somebody else to feed you or pay your bills. I don't really see anything wrong with that. Independence and autonomy highly valued plus rewarded. Well, independence, self-reliance, I mean, that's kind of what this country was founded on, right? I mean, we have a Declaration of Independence where we have rights that were granted to us by God and not by our government or by our founding fathers, but by our Creator, God. So, individuals assumed to be in control of their environment. Well, I think I think each and every person out there has some control over their environment, at least. I mean, you get to have the freedom to decide what you want to do, as far as if you want to work hard or if you don't, and then you get what you deserve. I'm not going to say that, because there's a lot of people who feel like they don't get what they deserve, and there's some people on the other side of that spectrum that probably feel like criminals didn't get what they deserved. So I'd say on that, I might change that a little bit to say, you kind of get you earn interest on what you invest in, so to speak. So I mean, if you work hard consistently enough, you're bound to break through. And if you're going to say that that depends on your color, well, I'm going to say uh, Oprah Winfrey, Larry Elder. There are plenty of successful POCs uh, in this country. So let's not make any of the success about white or not white. The nuclear family. Well, this is actually just better for society. A nuclear family, father, mother, 2.3 children. Uh, the truth is, my parents, my biological parents, divorced when I was 3 years old, and I had a stepdad who was a huge influence in my life and around me from an early age. And he was a good man. I would no disrespect to my biological father, but I think that my stepdad was a much better man, much better father to me than my biological dad has been. So that's just the truth. Husband is breadwinner and head of household. That's kind of deteriorated over the years as there's become two income households and both the husband and wife work and so on and so forth as prices have increased. But I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with a woman wanting to stay home and be a homemaker. Um, Subordinate to her husband. I don't know about that. I think that's probably a matter of opinion. I think sometimes outward appearances are false, and you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, so you don't really know who's subordinate to who or not. But wife is homemaker. I don't think that's such a terrible thing. Children should have own rooms, be independent. I don't see anything wrong with children having their own rooms. I think if you are in a position to be able to provide your children with their own rooms, then that's great. And be independent, well, that kind of gets back up to here. Yeah, rugged individualism, independence, be independent. Yeah. Objective, rational, linear thinking. I don't see anything wrong with that. Cause and effect relationships, yes. Cause and effect. Well, cause and effect, simply explained, is you make one decision and you may get this circumstance, and you make another decision, you may get a better circumstance. See, I'm going to kind of skip over this one. So, Protestant work ethic, hard work is the key to success. Yeah, I mean, I believe that, because you can sit around and smoke pot all day and not do anything, or you can get out there and work hard and have financial goals that you're trying to meet. That's entirely up to you. We live in a free society, the freest country in the world, so everybody should be grateful that there are people out there who work hard. And then, work before play. This was a big mantra with my mom. I remember when I was in elementary school, she'd always push that. If you had homework, you come home, you do your homework first, and then you can go outside and play. So work before play, yes. And if you didn't meet your goals, you didn't work hard enough. I don't know. That one could be kind of argued. I think it kind of depends on how extreme your goals are. But there's no such thing as an overnight success. You may see something that's an overnight success to you. That's what it appears to be, with your eyes. But typically that's not the case because people had worked for years and you just didn't realize they were doing it until you saw the end result. So that's it. Aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture in the United States. Good Lord. All right. Take a moment here and see what else I have to talk about here on the agenda. See if anybody's commented. No. No, I guess Adam's not watching today, so that's cool. See, I think that pretty much covered it. There was something in the NHL that I was going to talk about, but I guess I will go ahead and close out with that because I've already kind of just took a quick look at comments and there are no comments, so that's fine. We'll go ahead and talk about this story, this NHL story that I was thinking about talking about. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. Okay, this is from February 22nd. New York Rangers Artemi Panarin taking leave after assault allegations surface. New York Rangers star Artemi Panarin is taking a leave of absence from the team for personal reasons. The news comes after a Russian newspaper published allegations from Panarin's former KHL coach Andrei Nazarov, claiming the winger got into a physical altercation with an 18-year-old woman in Latvia in 2011. Nazarov's interview and Panarin said Nazarov's interview said Panarin sent her to the floor with several powerful blows, according to a translation provided to ESPN. Nazarov has previously criticized Panarin's outspoken beliefs toward Russian President Vladimir Putin. Artemi vehemently and unequivocally denies any and all allegations in this fabricated story, the Rangers said in a statement Monday. This is clearly an intimidation tactic being used against him for being outspoken on recent political events. Artemi is obviously shaken and concerned and will take some time away from the team. The Rangers fully supported Artemi and will work with him to identify the source of these unfounded allegations. NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley told ESPN that the league plans to look into the allegations. Nazarov, who played 571 games in the NHL, said a criminal case against Panarin was open in Latvia, but added that somebody paid a sum of 40k euro cash to stop the case, though it was unclear who paid that. Panarin was traded from Nazarov's team a month after the alleged assault. Last month, Panarin showed his support for Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny in an Instagram post. Through a Rangers spokesperson, Panarin declined to comment further on the topic in the days after the post. Panarin, 29, was a finalist for the Hart Trophy as the NHL MVP last season. He has 5 goals and 13 assists for 18 points in 14 games this season. The Rangers have won 2 straight, but are still 4 points out of playoff position in the East Division. Panarin, who signed an $81.5 million 7-year contract with the New York Rangers in 2019, typically spends his off seasons in Russia and still has family there, including his grandparents. He remains in the United States and has no plans to return to Russia, a source close to Panarin told ESPN. So, my biggest question about this whole thing is, in Latvia in 2011, so these allegations were so important to release 10 years later. So what he did was so terrible that it only took a decade to muster up the courage to tell somebody about it. I don't know. I have questions about that. That seems to stink to high heaven to me. But you know, whatever. Could just be somebody trying to intimidate, trying to gain leverage over this guy or something. So who the hell knows? But anyway, that's the story. So effing ridiculous, man. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, well, I think that's going to do it. I appreciate everybody watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And be good to yourselves and each other. And until next week, I will talk to you beautiful people later. So please join me next Tuesday, which will be, God, what are we into? Yeah, next Tuesday is March 2nd already. Wow. Alright, well, until then, be good to yourselves and each other, and I'll talk to you later. God bless.